Hey folks, it's Saman once again, and welcome back to another review of a film that I think I reviewed on my old channel, which was like 5, 6 years ago. But since that old channel is long and gone, I wanted to review this film again. It's a film from my childhood that I still enjoy to this day. Yes, I do know they're thinking of remaking or rebooting, I should say rebooting this film, because it was based on this series of novels called The Destroyer, which I haven't read. I've read a little bit. Actually got sent a comic or two of the Destroyer, but based on a comic or two, it wasn't much to gauge an opinion. But it wasn't based on comics; it was based on original novels called The Destroyer, and of course that is Remo Williams, aka Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins, which of course because of that right there, it was meant to have sequels, meant to be a new series. I would say in the vein of James Bond, because they're based on novels and they're based on a series of novels directed by a guy who dealt with James Bond films, Guy Hamilton. Guy Hamilton did Goldfinger and Live and Let Die. He did a couple other James Bond films. But unfortunately, this film didn't do that well. I'm sure this is the film that was meant to skyrocket Fred Ward into superstar status a la Harrison Ford when he did Star Wars or Indiana Jones films. Sean Connery when he did James Bond. Fred Ward, great actor, underrated actor in my opinion. Love him in Tremors and Tremors 2. Love him in this film. Unfortunately, he never got the big. This is probably the biggest shot he had to be in that A-list status, and again, this film bombed, so there were no more sequels, which is too bad. We'll love to have seen sequels to this film. But this film came out in 1985, and I think it came out in October. If that's the case, that's a strange release date for this kind. This seems like a summer film, but it was released in October. If that was the case, then I don't know why. But what's entertaining about this film is the relationship between Remo Williams, played by Fred Ward, who he's this cop from New York. He's chasing these guys, trying to help one out, but they fuck him over. But he beats the shit out of these three guys, beats the fuck out of them, gets back in his patrol car. His patrol car gets pushed into the water, and he wakes up, and his death has been faked because these two people, one of them Wilford Brimley, want Fred Ward to be part of their organization of like three guys called Cure, which is to serve the Constitution and go outside the law in order to do so. And it's kind of like what James Bond does. Not really, but kind of, sort of, what James Bond does. I said kind of, sort of, not absolutely. So I'm saying that because I know there's trying to be. I say James Bond, but I'm not. It's not the gadgets or anything like that because it's. You have this character that teaches him about. A Korean character named Chun teaches him this art called Sinanju, which is not a real art, but some people actually believe it was a real art. What really makes this film work is the relationship between Remo Williams, Fred Ward, and Chun Joel Grey. Remo Williams' character is a smart-ass character, while Chun, he's the old wise man, but he's also a pretty enjoyable character, which I'll get into. Before I get more into the plot, another great thing about this is Craig Stefan's score. It's a great score. Craig Stefan did a lot of scores for films. You have The Last Starfighter, you have Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. This is definitely one of my favorite scores the guy did, especially the theme. The theme is such a rousing theme that just fits perfectly for an action adventure film. The dun 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 dun. Just a great rousing theme. And I do know there was a TV pilot on this made where Roddy McDowell played the Chun character, which the pilot saw that and it sucked. No wonder it didn't get a fucking series. And because the guy who played Remo in that show, I thought it was just pretty bad. He was no Fred Ward. But Cracephon did an excellent job on the score. And I really, this guy wakes Remo Williams up, tells him, "We faked your death. Your new name is Remo Williams." Uh, Remo Williams escapes, steals this ambulance, which is actually, you have a little cameo about Reginald VelJohnson, who was in Die Hard, the TV show Family Matters. He has a small role in Ghostbusters. He has a small role in this. But pretty much he's put into this organization as the guy tells Remo, "We issued the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not get away with it." Pretty much recruited as an assassin. He doesn't want to do it, but he has to do it. He's put in to knock off this guy named Chun, but then realizes when he gets his ass kicked that this guy is actually going to teach him. And you tell that Chun, even though he's old, he can dodge bullets. He can dodge his way out of the punches. Uh, the dialogue they give him is really fun. He moved like a baboon with 2 clubbed feet. And Fred Ward and Joel Grey as Chun. Joel Grey, for the longest time, I thought that Chun was played by an Asian person. And then finding out, I found this out a few years ago, but finding out that, oh my god, it's not an Asian person. It was a non-Asian, which nowadays probably be, would they call it racist? Would they call it, they get up in arms? And I know people don't say, well, what about Shredder in the new Ninja Turtles movie? Well, hey, it sucked either way, didn't it? And Chun was a good character, and was well acted by Joel Grey. And some great makeup by, I think, Carl Fullerton, which I think he was nominated for an Oscar for his makeup. Deservedly so, because he did a great job. Again, kept me fooled for a long time, as did Joel Grey's performance. He did a really good job with it. And it's their relationship between each other, giving each other shit. And a lot of it's Joel Grey training Remo, going up, teach him how to breathe. Remo going, "Do you always talk like a Chinese fortune cookie?" Giving him pressure points so that Remo can't move. Telling him how to breathe. Going on a rooftop, standing on Remo's stomach to get him to breathe. He can run on the ledges of the building just easily, but Remo, of course, taking his sweet time, a little afraid of heights. You have the training sequence and the Ferris wheel where Fred Ward's character has to hang from the Ferris wheel. He goes, "Jesus." It shows like, now is not a time for prayer. Just hanging from the Ferris wheel down on top. The other parts of the Ferris wheel swinging at him. He's got to dodge out of the way. Him running on the sand and having to move so fast so that he doesn't make footprints. There's a practice scene where he has to jump from one thing to another, and it gets thinner and thinner, the stuff he has to jump on. Like he goes onto a board, to a bathtub, then onto a stool, then he has to go on these things where he has to balance on one foot and jump to another, and gets up and he's proud of himself, and Chun's like, "Well, that's easy, now come on down," and he turns the lights off, and Fred was like, "Well, where's the lights?" He's like, "You don't need them, go ahead." And he hesitates, and Chun's like, "What is your problem?" Fred Ward tries, and you hear that he falls down. Ah! And Chun's like, "Put that in." And Chun's the type of guy that, you forgot the rice." well, why don't we just grow some? And why don't you stop your feeble attempts at humor? And like, they have a good back and forth. They have a good rapport between each other. And Chun is the type of guy that has studied this ancient art of the perfect assassination, Senanju. But he's also the type of guy who watches soap operas. There's another fun moment where after the Ferris wheel, Chun wins a bid like Pink Panther. And as they're taking it home, you hear Chun goes, remember, I want him. He's mine. So that's what makes the film is a relationship between Fred Ward and Joel Grey, Remo Williams and Chun. That's what makes the film. They have a great chemistry with each other. They have some fun back and forth with the dialogue. Both actors do a top-notch job. And the training scenes, a lot of them, it's done for real. Real people doing real stuff. That's why I'm not interested in a reboot, because you know it's going to be a lot of CGI. Even if a person's standing on the building, they'll CGI the building, or they'll CGI the backdrop, or they'll CGI this. And this was a lot of people doing real stuff, whether it be Fred Ward or even stunt guys. It's a real person going across the ledge of a building. It's a real person hanging from a Ferris wheel. There's the standout sequence of the film, which was on the advertisement, is when Remo Williams, the character, is chased around the Statue of Liberty by these three asses who are hired to knock him off. Which it looks like they shot at the Statue of Liberty. If they didn't shoot at the Statue of Liberty, they did a damn good job replicating it. Otherwise, not many scenes are, well, I mean, other than you have X-Men, the end of X-Men, but I'll take this over X-Men. And I think this sequence is better than the sequence in X-Men. It looks cooler. It's real people doing real stuff, no special effects, CGI. And Craig Safan's score really helps it as well. And like I said, that Statue of Liberty sequence is definitely the standout sequence. I mean, these assholes are trying to get him off, and he's trying to balance himself. You have this sequence here where that pole breaks off and he's hanging for dear life. He's got to get on a rope, and he swings from one place to another to get on the face of the Statue of Liberty and sliding down. They think they got him off, and he climbs back up. He's got to jump on a rope to get onto this elevator and fuck it up and beat the shit out of these three guys that tried to kill him. And then even when he gets down to the ground, a guy's chasing him. There's wet cement, and because of his training, he's able to jump right onto the cement and glide across it with his. But when the guy after him comes in, he falls right into the cement and gets engulfed by it. And you also have a nice relationship between the two, where obviously they're unsure of each other, Chun and Remo Williams. Even Remo said, there are times I really like you. He's like, of course, I'm Chun. And then there are times I really want to kill you. Good, we'll use that for practice later. But at the same time, in this sequence, there's a guy ready to shoot Remo. Chun helps him out. Later on in the film, a moment I really love where all this stuff happens and he calls Remo, oh, my son. And Remo goes, what do you say? What do you call me? I said, you're a clumsy oaf who drives like a monkey at heat. And then before Remo leaves, he calls him little father. And Chun, it's not showing your expression, but when Remo leaves, Chun has a smile. It looks like he's getting a little bit glassy-eyed, and the music by Craig Safan really helps. And again, the relationship between those two is what really makes the film. And then some really good stunt sequences in the Statue of Liberty sequence. Some stuff at the end where it's in a forest in the mountains, and either Remo's running through the forest and there's explosions coming off left and right. It's a real person dodging these explosions. I guess there's a logging company nearby because they get these trees and they lower them down, and Remo's hanging on for dear life while the tree is way up high and bad guys are shooting at him, and he drops the big log to get the other this other pile of logs that crashes the bad guy's Jeep. And then you have the ending where before Neo in the Matrix, Remo Williams did the dodging bullets first. Maybe not very first, there were probably other movies before, but he did dodging bullets before Neo in the Matrix. You know, dodging bullets, really cool. Dodging the bad guy's bullets, you know, getting the gun, dislodging it, getting the bullets. Who are you? Whips the guy's ass. I'm Remo Williams. Gets like a little branch, rubs it with his fingers, creates fire, puts it over to the heap so that the bad guy with the remnants of the Jeep blow up. So the acting is, especially by Fred Ward and Joel Grey, are great. The supporting cast do fine. I mean, you have Wilford Brimley, you have Kate Mulgrew, who would be the captain, Star Trek Voyager. She's here as a U.S. Army soldier who finds out what the bad guys are doing and sort of gets with our heroes in the third act. You have Patrick Kilpatrick, who's been in a lot of films as bad guys. He's sort of a henchman who's got like a diamond in one of his, in a tooth. Even Remo goes, who's your dentist? Tiffany's? And you did some fun sequences. I mean, when Fred Ward's beating the crap out of the thugs at the beginning of the film. And then a good chunk of it is him training. And the training sequences, like I said, are fun. Some really good stunt work with the Ferris wheel. A guy actually going from, like, you see that's Fred Ward going from here to the bathtub to here. And even if it's a stunt guy doing the rest, it's still a guy going up and up, balancing act, going from A to B. And then the Statue of Liberty sequence is a standout. Between the Statue of Liberty sequence and the ending, Wilford Brimley and the other guy say, well, we have to look in. See, one of the problems with the film, I'll say, is maybe a reason why it flopped, why it didn't do well, other than perhaps it being released in October. One, I can't say I like the action scenes, but when it's coming from a guy who did James Bond, if you were to compare the action scenes to, say, a James Bond film, people would be disappointed in. Apparently this had a $40 million budget. I'm not sure where the $40 million went to. Because, for example, 1985, you had... What's an action film that came out in 85? Rambo 2. That cost like $25 million. And Rambo 2 looks more expensive than this film. Because Rambo is... At the end, he blows up a helicopter with a bazooka. And before that, he's having a dogfight with another helicopter. Before that, he takes a helicopter, blows the shit out of an entire village. He shoots a couple people with machine guns. And before that, he's running, dodging the water. All these explosions going off. And before that, he has to see 4 tipped explosive arrows blowing the shit out of this and this and this. You have the sequence on the boat. And you're like, well, damn. This looked like it cost more than this film. So, and especially with the director of James Bond films, you're not getting the humongous action sequences. And it's not wall-to-wall action. And the villain is not really... He's inconsequential in a way. The villain is pretty lame villain if you think about it. I mean, if you think of a film... Usually a good action film, you need a good guy and a good bad guy. There are some that are exceptions. I love Live Free or Die Hard, but that's a lame bad guy. This is another example. Remo Williams. The bad guy, it's some guy who is... His name is Grove, and he works with the military on weapons, and there's this program named HARP, and this big defense weapon for the future, but no one knows what's going on with it. So it's pretty much him scamming money from the U.S., scamming money from the military, and people in the military are involved with it as well. And the guy's short shifting production of weapons because there's a scene where a guy fires a weapon and it blows up in his face. And it's not really an exciting plot for your premiere film that's going to hopefully garner a new series of action movies. Is some guy who he's scamming money from the military. It's not really an effective bad guy. It's not really an intimidating bad guy, and it's a plot that you're like, okay, it's not really the typical I'm going to destroy the world or I'm going to like to crazy plots of James Bond movies or anything like that. I mean, it's not really a plot that you're like, you don't give a shit about the plot, is what you end up doing. You don't give a shit about the bad guys, what you end up doing. You just, hey, you give a shit about Fred Ward, you give a shit about Joel Grey, the relationship, that's what you give a shit about. Between the Statue of Liberty and the ending, the big scene is them, Fred Ward and this other guy going into this place where Grove is supposed to have the harp thing, weapons thing, and it's really all it amounts to Fred Ward dodging dogs who are smarter than usual dogs. Gets to what he thinks is the harp thing. A laser comes out, blows it up. He runs out. The buddy of his gets shot, but he's able to get the info so that Wilford Brimley can go, oh yeah, this harp thing doesn't really exist. The other guy dies, and pretty much after that, Remo's going to go off to stop Grove on his own. You have a nice little scene with Fred Ward and Kate Mulgrew being trapped in this isolation tank sort of place where they're suffocating, and Patrick Kilpatrick comes in and Fred Ward beats the shit out of him. I enjoy the scene because he takes the guy's face and takes, which has the diamond in his tooth, carves up some scratches on the glass, and Patrick Kilpatrick tries to get him, but Remo gouges his eyes out right through his gas mask, which was pretty cool. And it's PG-13, so that was something that I think if they had a couple more scenes like that, they would have been rated R, but because you see a little bit of blood when he gouges the eyes out. And he's able to jump through the glass and get him and Kate Mulgrew out, and that's when they meet Chun. They steal a truck, it breaks, goes down the mountain, they find Chun, and that's when you have that nice little scene where he calls him my son. He brushes off, you drive like a monkey at heat. And then Remo says little father runs off and you see Chun smile. So they have a good relationship with each other. And then the ending again, it's running from explosions, the tree thing, dodging bullets. So it's not a Commando or Rambo 2 ending. And maybe that's another thing why this film didn't do well, is because Rambo 2 and Commando, I believe they were 1985. You look at the endings of those films, those are wall-to-wall, holy shit action that probably didn't cost as much as, that cost less than this movie. I mean, this movie, it's running from explosions, a tree, and dodging some bullets. It's not as epic as a James Bond movie or as a Rambo 2 Commando ending. So I think because it's not humongous James Bond or even Rambo 2 Commando type of action sequences, and then you have kind of a forgettable villain. And I think the movie kind of knows that because it'll a little bit go to the villain, and then it'll quickly go back to Fred Ward and Joel Grey, Remo Williams and Chun. It's like even the movie knows that they're the main things of the movie, and it's the main thing to like about the movie. That's why it would have been nice to see a sequel, so that maybe in a sequel we could have had a more stronger villain, a more intense maybe plot, or more dire straits of a plot, maybe bigger action set pieces, as well as the fun chemistry between Fred Ward and Joel Grey. So, I mean, that's my only issues with the film, is that the villain is pretty lame and the action sequences are not big, spectacular in the vein of a James Bond film, which the director had done before, or even a, like I said, Rambo 2 or Commando. But I still love this film. Great score. I mean, even the way it ends is Remo gets back to the boat with K. Mulgrew, and K. Mulgrew's on the dock, and there's Chun. He was looking for Remo. The army's there, surrounding them, and Chun runs on the water, and he goes up to Remo, and he's like, "You must run very fast." And they both drive off on the boat. They're talking, and Remo goes, "Chun, you're incredible." "No, I am better than that." So it's the dialogue and rapport and chemistry between Fred Ward and Joel Grey, Remo Williams and Chun that really make this film. It really makes it very entertaining, and that's what a lot of the film is. So and you get some fun bits of action and stunt work during the training, during the Statue of Liberty sequence, during some of the stuff at the end, and it's real people doing real stunts. And I don't know, maybe because it wasn't slam bang Remo beating the shit out of 15 guys in one scene, or him shooting 30 guys in one scene, that maybe people are like, I don't know about this movie back in 1985. But it's definitely gotten, that's so excited I almost threw it. It's gotten a fan base. It gets a 6.4 on IMDb, which is a fair rating. I would give it higher because I really do enjoy the film. This is a lame DVD, although I think this is an out-of-print DVD. I know there's a Blu-ray from overseas, which has a shitload of features. Unfortunately, nothing with Fred Ward, which is a shame. But has a lot of features, and unfortunately, I don't have a region-free Blu-ray player, so I can't see it. So even though I'm a big fan of this movie, and we can't get a good release of this in the U.S., but overseas from, I believe, Arrow Video or some other company, if you have a region-free Blu-ray player, you can get Remo Williams, which is in widescreen, HD picture, and a shitload of special features. But we're stuck with this DVD, which is in standard definition, pretty much full screen, modified to fit your screen, and a trailer. And that's it. So, yeah, the DVD's better than nothing, but why can't we have Remo Williams released here in that special edition that's only overseas, only on Blu-ray? And you can't play on a Blu-ray player in the US. You need a region-free Blu-ray player, which I don't have. If I did, I would get The People Under the Stairs, and Remo Williams, and The Burbs. Because those are 3 movies I love, and those are 3 movies that have special editions only on Blu-ray, only overseas, which I can't play on this, and that pisses me off, and that's stupid. But that's just me ranting about that. But I know there's a lot of people who are fans of this film. And I don't know about the reboot. I don't know if I have no interest in it. I'd rather just see a special edition of this in the US. How about that? I'd rather have that than a reboot. But that's just my thoughts on Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, film I watched a lot when I was a kid, still enjoy to this day. Thanks for watching. Well, also, I don't mind the song at the end. There's a song at the end by, I believe, Tommy Shaw. Da, 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 da. I think it's called What If. What if, what if, da, 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 da. I don't know the lyrics to this song, but you can look it up. It's Remo Williams and What If from, I believe, Tommy Shaw. That's a pretty decent song as well. But yeah, entertaining film. Thanks for watching. Take care. and we'll see you on the next one later.